Sure.
Okay, it is now
You're a lefty, too.
16:03. I'll call the May 20th, 2021 meeting of the Wolfeboro Police Commission to order at this time. Welcome everybody back. It's great to be back here, excuse me, in person. Everybody seated before you has been fully vaccinated, hence the social distancing, but a lack of a mask. Because we do feel it's important to be transparent and to be understood. So again, we're happy to be back here. And happy to see some people in the public, and we look forward to seeing more as we move forward in the future. At this time, I would invite everybody to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, our first order of business this afternoon will be a consideration of the minutes of April 15th, 2021. Do I have a motion?
I would move that the minutes be accepted as read.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner O'Brien to accept as written. Commissioner Coop?
I second it.
Commissioner Coop seconds. I'll take a vote of the commission. Commissioner Coop?
I vote in favor to accept
Okay,
it.
Commissioner, wow. Commissioner O'Brien is a yes, and Commissioner Wood is a yes. I'd be remiss if I didn't reintroduce everybody and introduce our newest member for those that are watching on television. To my immediate right is our Executive Assistant, Sherry Moore, also the Executive Assistant for the Police Department. I am Steve Wood, Chairman of the Wolfeboro Police Commission. To my left, to the camera's right of me, is Commissioner Bob O'Brien. And to his right, our newest member, Commissioner Sean Coop, who we welcome once again. On the far side, we have Chief Dean Rondo, and to his left, Captain Mark Libby. At this time, Chief, if you would proceed with the monthly reports.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I do have two items for non-public under personnel. One is hiring and one is litigation.
Okay.
So, gentlemen, moving on to the first slide in your slide deck is going to be incidents year to date. And you'll see in April we had a decrease of 35.74. So we were at 36, down from 56 incidents. Of that total 81, we had 81 offenses. You do have that backup information in your packet if you want to drill down and see exactly what those were. Under arrests, you'll see that we were up from 23 in March to 36 in April. That's a 56.52% increase. So again, I think you've seen this and you've all been serving long enough now to realize that usually when there's a dip in incidents, there's an increase in arrests, and that's just the way it typically works. You have the backup documentation if you want to see where those offenses were and it's broken down by officers, so you can see who was arrested and for what reasons. Under traffic stops, the next slide in your slide deck, you'll see we had a slight increase of 7.54%. Of that, 17 summonses or 17 tickets were given out. That's a 9.94% chance of getting a ticket, so less than 10% chance of getting a ticket if you're being stopped. What that's indicative of is the education mindset that we have as part of our community policing protocols. You do have the backup data in both the warnings that were issued and the summonses that were issued if you want to see what those offenses were for. Moving on to the next slide in the slide deck, you're going to see the collisions year-to-date 2021, wow. And I'm really happy and really proud to report that in April we were two. That is awesome work. That's indicative of a lot of motor vehicle work being done by the officers, helping to reduce those crashes. And of course, one is too many. One crash is too many. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I remember times when I was a patrolman, never getting off of South Main Street, having 10, 15 crashes in a single day. So, you know, getting a number down to, in last month or the reporting month of March, 6. So single digits are awesome. 2 is fantastic. And, you know, We're shooting for zero, right? We're shooting for zero. You've got the backup data in a chart if you want to see where those crashes were. There will be no mystery as to where they occurred. You got one on Center Street and one on South Main Street. Also, in your slide deck, gentlemen, moving on to the next slide, you're going to see the personnel summary report year to date. Just be mindful, and it's broken down by officer, just be mindful when you look at that. Some officers are on shifts like the midnight shift, which though can be a dangerous shift, it doesn't necessarily see an awful lot of activity, but it's a very needed shift. Monthly activity for the month of April, and this is the detectives report. 17 cases were carried over from March of 21. For the month of April, Detective Emerson investigated 3 new cases. The cases below represent the incidents and arrests for the month of April. 3 cases were investigated at the felony level. At the end of April 2021, Detective Emerson was able to clean up some of his lingering caseload and close out cases from previous months. Presently, Detective Emerson is investigating a suspicious untimely death case, and Detective Emerson was present during the autopsy. Additionally, Detective Emerson is investigating a case involving the dissemination of nude and sexual photographs and videos. No juveniles involved. Detective Emerson is also investigating an endangering the welfare of a minor case. Cases assigned and investigated is 1 suspicious death, 1 dissemination of sexual images and imagery, and 1 endangering the welfare of a child. Percentage of cases closed this past month for the detective is 67%, which is good. Percentage of new cases closed by arrest during the month, this month is 0. He just got those assigned. And percentage of caseload closed year to date is 64%. So we're doing pretty good for the detective. There is no SRO report. I will address that in non-public session. Yes, sir.
What is the frequency now as we get back up to full strength of the detective pulling shifts? Is he back to? He's back to detective. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we've crossed that hurdle.
Okay.
And that is one of the things and that's a nice segue into the next thing I was going to say is that young Officer Peasley has demonstrated tremendous tenacity, has overcome an awful lot of adversity. I would say that 36 weeks of training between the police academy and our very strenuous FTO program is probably more than enough for anybody, but he has come through that with flying colors. I do want to say something, and though this was a little bit lengthy, FTO program, this is no reflection on young Officer Peasley, and just let me explain why. He had the misfortune, if you will, to have to go through the police academy during the COVID period. And there was an awful lot of virtual training and virtual learning. And I'm not trying to slight the academy. I think they did a phenomenal job keeping those front doors open and getting those recruits to us. But there was an awful lot of training that we're used to, we're spoiled by, if you will. When I say we, I'm talking about law enforcement in the state of New Hampshire generally. And they just weren't able to maintain that very high level standard, that very high level of training. They were able to get us an officer that we could work with, and we had to complete a lot of the training. But, you know, we knew that. And so we received an officer that, you know, we knew we could work with, but we had to give him a lot more training than we were used to, and quite frankly, I think we just initially, we knew that was coming down the pipe, but we weren't initially prepared for the full breadth of what that really meant. So we had to drop back and punt and come up with some strategies and to fix the training deficiencies, if you will, that were created by this COVID type of predicament that we found ourselves in. There was a lot of on-hands training that he would have got at the academy, that they're getting now at the academy, that he just didn't have the opportunity to get. We had to give it to him ourselves. So that's the reason for the extra lengthy FTO. But I have said before, and I will say again, we will not skimp on training. No matter how short-handed we get, training is very important. And I don't want to put officers out on the road that don't have the officer safety, primarily training that they really need. All right, so, but I'm absolutely confident that Officer Peasley is fully trained, and he's very enthusiastic and energetic, and he's going to make a great addition to the Wolfeboro Police Department, so I'm really happy that we have him.
That's good.
So
Thank you.
that's the good news story. Mr. Chairman, subject to your questions on the comm stats, I'll move into the chief's items for the month of April.
I have none, Commissioner O'Brien or Commissioner Cook.
Just an observation, it reflects exactly what you were talking about with the report showing the number of incidents and arrests that Officer Peasley is involved in. It's one of the highest in the department.
Yeah, you're going to see he's very excited. He's out, and I think anybody would be after 36 weeks of training. That's a long time. And of course, you know, not that this would be indicative of being in the United States Army, but we expect things to be done a certain way. And so he rose to the occasion. I'm glad for that, and he's a very nice young man too. So, and he does come to us already as a certified corrections officer. So there was a lot. He's got a lot of experience already. We're happy to have him. He brings a lot to the table.
Yeah, he was an easy hire for us.
Yeah.
Yes,
Between his physical agility test and then his.
He's going to make a dynamite. He's going to make a dynamite police officer. So moving on, Mr. Chairman, if nobody has any questions,
We're good.
Okay. Moving on, under general budget items, there will be an end of second quarter FY21 budget review following the presentation of the chief's items in July of 2021. The budget presentation will mark the halfway point of the PD's budget and will give a detailed forecast as to the status of the PD. Also accompanying this presentation will be a mid-year status of the PD and a briefing on the completion of our 2021 goals and objectives. Together, these two briefings to the Commission will provide a good snapshot and status as to where the financial and administrative overview of the PD and how the PD is performing and where we stand on the accomplishments of our goals and objectives. Personnel. As I said, Officer Peasley continues to make progress. He's now out of the FTO program, and presently we are quite pleased with his performance. He has accomplished a lot, and given that his first class of the he was the first class as part of the COVID Academy, so there was a lot of learning and hurdles that had to be overcome. So please congratulate him. When you see him, he's had quite a long period of training, and I'm excited that he's out. Operations, criminal investigations, and prosecutions. In terms of police investigations and operations, April was busy, and we see this reflected in the April statistics that I have just briefed. In addition to the two serious motor vehicle crashes we had earlier in the year on April 19th, 2021, we realized another serious motor vehicle crash. This is a fatal motor vehicle collision in Wolfeboro. This one was on Center Street by the New Hampshire Boat Museum. Staff Sergeant Guy Maloney and I conducted the traffic crash reconstruction on that collision and determined the impact speed to be just at 95 miles an hour. This was a near head-on collision, also known in the business as an eccentric collision, and it appears that the driver of the offending vehicle may have had suffered a medical issue which resulted in the crash. Additionally, the department also remains involved in the 5-car motor vehicle collision investigation on South Main Street and the fatal crash investigation on College Road. Both of those investigations are still ongoing, and I will continue to keep the Commission informed. In terms of police prosecutions, this past month we're busy. We had 14 defendants respond to 15 charges. Of those charges, 11 were found or pled guilty. 2 cases were placed on file pending good behavior with other court-ordered or directed actions such as restitution or alcohol and drug treatment added as part of their sentences. Lastly, 2 cases were withdrawn at the request of the victim. The conviction rate this past month is 100% with $5,948 in fines, restitution, and penalties meted out by the courts. Safety and security matters. We have already seen the weather turn. Spring is on the way. In fact, spring is here. Please pay attention to the pedestrians who are out and about in our busy work crews cleaning up the wintertime sand and leaves on the roadway. This past winter, debris represents a hazard and may make the roads a little bit more slippery on both dry pavement and wet asphalt. Please drive carefully and all extra time when going to and from your daily businesses. As we get into the summer months, please pay attention to strong summertime storms and weather. I believe there may be one coming up this weekend. And if you don't have to go out during these storms, please don't. A vast majority of our crashes and collisions occur during periods of inclement weather. Plan for needs ahead of time during these storms and cancel non-important appointments or events, and please be safe while driving. Thank you. Under motor vehicle enforcement, in an effort to mitigate the traffic crashes realized monthly, we will be continuing a strong proactive approach to motor vehicle enforcement and traffic stops. As a warning to those residents living within and traveling about on both the North and Wolfeboro Road areas and on Bay Street, we have received many complaints from upset residents about the speeds on those streets. We have deployed our radar warning signs out to those locations, and shortly thereafter, we will be strictly enforcing these speed zones. Being forewarned is being forearmed. Additionally, we will be deploying our radar warning trailer out to Center Street to support our public works teams in support of their construction efforts. While traveling in these areas, please watch out for our public works employees and drive slowly by and through construction zones. Thank you. That being said, the department is continuing its enhanced speed enforcement operations in the following areas: Laner Street, Forest Road, Cotton Valley, and College Road to Stoddard Road, Beach Pond Road with a focus on the area between Pine Hill Road and North Line Road, Center Street, North Main Street, 109 East, Bay Street, and Sewell Road. The reason for these speed enforcement operations is due to the large volume of citizen complaints and data collected and analyzed by our radar trailer. Some of that data you gentlemen and ladies in the audience are going to get to
Does the
listen
captain
to.
wish to, do you wish to speak on that at all this afternoon?
Well, I can, right when he
When he's
finishes.
done, okay.
I'll brief that right after.
Yeah, the captain is going to speak to that. We will continue our efforts in these areas until we are sure that the speeds have come down. And if you travel these roads, please be mindful of the posted speed limits. Training. Staff Sergeant Maloney and I trained the 184th Police Academy class. This is the recruiter class down in Concord in traffic crash investigation on 19 April. And just to let the rest of the listening audience and our viewers at home know that Staff Sergeant Maloney and I had been invited down by the Police Academy almost 2 years ago to help get them through the technical reconstruction training required of the recruits since they had no instructors to perform. That's a very specialized area. We're more than happy to help our Police Academy out and to train these fine men and women of law enforcement in technical crash reconstruction, and we have a good time doing it. I know they learn a lot, and we often get singled out for our lively instruction down there, and they really enjoy it. So that's good, and we see the evaluations because we asked to be evaluated. So I know they enjoy it, and let's face it, you know, when you're talking about physics and time and distance and your minimum speed formulas and the conservation of linear momentum, this can be a little dry. Officer Joe Shanks, that was a joke. I'm not getting a lot of laughs out here. This is a tough audience in here tonight. Officer Joe Shanks attended interview and interrogation training and drug interdiction training. Dispatch, there was nothing significant to report. At the end of March, almost all the PD members have met their annual training requirements in terms of non-discretionary training. So this would be the required training that we're instructed to do by the Attorney General's office in the Police Academy. Outreach and matters of interest. Again, Staff Sergeant Maloney and I headed back to the New Hampshire Police Academy on 19 April to teach the Block Zero of the Technical Crash Reconstruction course to the recruit class, and fun was had by all. Both the captain and I met with concerned citizens regarding a wide range of issues and community topics. I am now conducting a weekly radio talk show with Eric Scott of WASR. This show is a 1-hour feature with call-in, and we discuss relevant topics of interest. Please be our guest on the show each Monday at 12 noon. Please call in and ask your questions and join the discussions. Let's get involved and solve community issues or simply have a good time. All are welcome. Both the captain and I attend a wide range of budget-related and town meetings with various groups and committees as we proceed through the budget process. Both the captain and I spoke on Wolfeboro Community TV this past month. The captain continues to be part of the master planning process and the technical review and joint loss committees, and I continue to serve on the Governor's Commission for the Humane and Ethical Treatment of Animals. Lastly, please be our guest on Coffee and Connections with the Chief. That's a monthly program held through Wolfeboro Community TV. Safety tip of the month, it's warming up. And if you haven't already got your bob houses off the beaches, you may want to do that. Budget analysis. Presently, as of 7 May, the department is doing well on its budget execution. The PD is underspent by 3.145%. Dispatch is underspent by 2.057%, and animal control is underspent by 7.63%. This makes for a total combined underspent budget of 2.19%. With that being said, please be mindful that we still have almost 2/3, or essentially 9 months, of the year left in front of us. And that's at the time, ladies and gentlemen, that's at the time of the writing of this report. This report goes out before the commission meeting, and this report was written on 5 May 2021. So we're a little bit more spent than that at this point, but we're still doing, I think, well on our budget. So
Good.
Chief, could I interject and possibly make a recommendation for an update on the safety tip of the month? And it's motorcycle and it's bicycle safety time, because they're more out on the roads. And we had an incident that happened in town on May 8th in which there was a near collision between a motorcyclist and a female driver. And unfortunately, it resulted in a confrontation and a yelling between the individual who was involved at the woman who said she never saw him. He then proceeded to follow her to her residence. And therein lies the point that I'd like to make, and could be discussed in a number of forums. If you have a confrontation like that, go to the nearest police department, wherever town it might be in. Do not go to your residence. That's unsafe to do so, because another confrontation happened right there. There were 72 responses in the Wolfeboro community regarding this incident, so it's something that's well known, and I think it's an opportunity to address an issue and give some good common sense about what to do if there is road rage incidents. So
I think that's a very good point. That's an excellent point. In fact, during the Coffee and Connections segment we had, we did talk about motorcycle safety, and as the bumper sticker says, motorcycles are everywhere, but motorcycles and bicyclists. So you're absolutely correct. We have to be cognizant of who's on the road and who we're sharing the road with as a busy motorist. I would agree with that.
I think to Commissioner O'Brien's point, in that particular incident where that individual followed her home, now they know where you live.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that went wrong in that scenario. Of course, I'm not blaming her in the least for that. It might have been where she felt her safe place was. But if somebody's that angry and enough to follow you, the guidance to go to the local police department.
The other side of it is that if you have an incident in which you almost had a collision or a near collision or a minor accident, don't take it upon yourself to blame the person to seek it out. Go to the police department and get the assistance. Get the license plate number, the location, the time, and then proceed. Let the authorities handle this as we're known to do.
That's what we're paid for.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, subject to your questions, that's all I have.
I'm good.
I'm good.
With those.
Good.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Captain, if you want to talk about the radar information, that'd be great. I think it's good information.
Yeah, I can do that. So what I have in front of me and what I've sent to all of you earlier in the week was some reports that came out from the traffic radar signs that we have out on the roadway. We have 7 of them, including our radar trailer, and they actually give very good detailed reports to us to help us be more efficient and get officers out there at certain times of the day, which is more active and the speeds are up. As you'll see, some of this data that came in, especially we have one up on North Main Street coming into town, coming south right into town. And some of the things that jump out is the amount of volume of cars that are coming into town. It's showing 28,209 cars that come into town in a given week. The week I have printed here is May 12th to May 18th. they had 28,209 vehicles come into town, coming by that radar machine. So that's pretty impressive, if you think about it. The average per day is about 4,029. Our maximum speed on that was 55, so we do have some people that are coming into town at a high rate of speed, so it's very limited, but that is the max speed that did come through that one. Some other ones that we have out there is Bay Street, which was pretty impressive to see the volume that comes on Bay Street, which was during that same time frame of May 12th to May 18th, was 8,516 vehicles, and that's traveling from the downtown towards Pine Hill Road. So it's pretty impressive to see how many vehicles are actually on Bay Street in a week span. Our maximum speed there was 59, which is the speed limit on that road is 30. So that's a high rate of speed coming into there. So we've had numerous complaints on that roadway. So we have the radar trailer down there too. We actually have 2 radars on that one due to the speeds that we are seeing. So it shows how vehicles slow down when it comes into the traffic radar machine too, which is actually to see that, how many vehicles actually slow down when they see that. So the radar machine is doing its job. It is slowing the traffic down. It is showing what the speed limit is out on that roadway, so the vehicles and the operators do see it. It helps us as administration to analyze this data, get our officers out there at certain times, because you might have your speeds and the amount of volume that come out between 12 and 1 is a lot higher than 6 and 7 in the morning. So instead of putting somebody out there all day trying to just say, hey, we have complaints on Bay Street, let's put an officer out there. Well, this helps us put the radar out there for 2 weeks, see when our volumes are, see when the speeds are highest, between what time of day, between that hour, and then we can get the officer out there and conducting some radar.
It really does make us very efficient, because with the limited number of resources we have, if we can identify a specific period of time that we're seeing the volume or we're seeing the speed infractions, then we can drill down on that 15-minute block or that 45-minute block or that hour block, and address those issues and find those that are responsible for the violations, as opposed to roll the dice and maybe you're lucky and maybe you're not. So these machines are really, I mean, I know they're expensive, but they are really worth the expense, the information they give us. And the volume of traffic coming in through Wolfeboro and on Bay Street, if you think one way, almost 9,000 vehicles one way in the course of a week, that's impressive. That's a lot. And of course, we see the volume in traffic. We're definitely aware of the volume. And when I just saw that the town census is now complete, and the U.S. Census Bureau is now reporting that we're at approximately 6,400 and change in the town of Wolfeboro. And I've said before, and I'm going to say again, I think the formula that they're using is flawed. I don't think we're at 6,400 people. I think we're probably closer to 8,000 or 10,000, and we're seeing it just from the traffic data. We're seeing it. So I just throw that out there for what it's worth. I know what the census says, but I'm not buying it.
If I could just put in a little piece from my own experience, outcome-based law enforcement is for focused, following. We can show, hopefully, that in a 3-month period or whatever it might be set, that there is a reduction in the number of vehicles that are exceeding the speed, and that the radar is working, as well as the officers' focused participation. So I'm hoping that's an outcome that we can claim later.
Outcome-based and data-driven operations, that's the 2 keys to victory right there.
Yep.
Yeah, that last report I have is Sewell Road, which is 4,062 that come through there. That's coming from town, heading out to the beach, to Cary Beach. So it's pretty impressive to see how many vehicles are actually.
It's a lot of traffic, because technically that's a residential neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah, and the maximum speed down there is 47, so that's
Now,
at 30.
correct me if I'm wrong, Captain, the radar trailer actually gets more information
Yeah, it
than
gives
that.
more, yeah.
So you could identify these drivers, but
Yeah, there's photos that are taken once they hit a certain speed.
there's no legal,
Yeah,
We don't have that law in the state of New Hampshire, and in fact, there's always a move afoot down in the House, and I see that we have a House representative sitting with us, but there always is a move afoot down there to prohibit the use of photograph equipment, photography equipment being used for speed enforcement and for law enforcement purposes and so forth and so on. And I understand both sides of the argument. And I'm not advocating one way or the other. I'm just saying that we can't use right now, because there is no state law that would allow us to use the photography from that machine to
issue a citation.
to enforce, but I think in certain circumstances, we can use that very powerful, and it's not just a camera, but it's not just what I'm looking for, it's not just a digital camera, but it's also a video recorder. So we can turn it on and watch and listen to what's going on down there as well. So, and we can do this all remotely, and but there are circumstances where we can use that. But we have to make sure we don't trip across state law in the process of doing so.
I think it's an exceptional tool, just the fact that we can get the kind of data that the captain's reporting just for speed interdiction. You can focus your patrols where and when they need to be based on that data, so you're not wasting resources.
The radar trailers, and I will just let the commission know, the radar trailers or the radar trailer and the radar warning signs are two of the most sought-after services that this police department provides. People line up and they want it. They call. They can put it on my front lawn. You can park it here. We have people calling us all the time. This town could certainly benefit from another radar warning trailer. So I'll just park that there. No pun intended.
yeah, the trailer is a lot easier to move than the other signs that
Yeah,
are almost
fixed.
permanent for the year. It just takes a lot more work to get it out, and a lot more help from the town workers to move it around. But that's what, just to get out, one last thing is for the public, if they need it, let us know. Basically, if they need it on their neighborhoods, or if they got complaints, let us know, because, I mean, we do hear the complaints, we do see the complaints. I've been out, talked to a lot of people in town about the complaints. There are a lot of speeders out there. There's a lot of traffic out there. And our officers are doing their best to get out there and address those issues.
One last thing on speed, and I just want to say this. It's one thing to speed on our main roads, and a lot of our main roads are built to handle a large volume of traffic, and they're paved and so forth. It's quite another thing if you're speeding in town and you're speeding on these dirt roads that we have, like Beach Pond Road or Stoddard Road, for example. Those roads generally are unimproved roads, and there's a number of factors there. First of all, when we speed on those roads, we're kicking up all this dust and dirt and debris and gravel, and we're slinging it everywhere. We're actually eroding the road base when we do that, and that's really bad, and it costs the town an awful lot of money to repair that every year. The other thing is those roads are not even remotely designed to handle those types of speeds, so the likelihood of a car crash into a granite wall or a tree is a lot higher. The risks are a lot higher, and we just need to keep that in the back of our mind. And so this is a plea to people: if you're out there, if you're driving those roads routinely, please pay attention to the speed limit signs. One, we don't want you damaging the roads. Two, and probably more importantly, we don't want you damaging yourself. You need to slow down, because you will lose control. There are ruts created after storms, or the chatter bumps created by the traffic on the roads that will throw a vehicle completely out of control. Those roads are not designed for those types of speeds, not even close. So please slow down. The life you save may be your own. That's all I have, sir.
Just one last question about the radar trailers. What is the cost differential? I know about the mobility issue with the signs. I know they're a lot more cumbersome to move from location to location. But what's the cost differential between the signs and the trailer? Cost differential between the trailer and a sign. The radar trailer is...
The 10,000, I think it is. It's about 10,000, I think is the
For the sign, like 10 or 11,000?
Trailer.
Yeah, there wasn't the trailer 15. I think the trailer's 15,000, where the other signs are
Between 5 and 6.
5 and 6.
Yeah,
In that
1,000.
ballpark.
Say again? I'm sorry.
5 and 6,000.
5 or 6,000?
Yeah.
But yeah, for the signs and the radar trailer, when we bought the radar trailer, we bought that on a grant, and I believe that was about $15,000 or $16,000. They've probably gone up since then.
It's a worthwhile investment for what it does, and the mobility is a major issue because, as you've alluded to, there's a lot of people that call. I've had people get a hold of me and say, what's it take to get the radar trailer put here or put there, and I've talked with the captain about that. But the signs are not quite as mobile. They're almost in a fixed position.
That's
They're a
correct.
little bit more challenging.
Yeah, it really, cumbersome is a good way to say it, and the captain is correct. When you put those in, those are basically permanent fixtures that we put in. The great thing is they're all solar powered, right? The trailer is solar powered, the signs are solar powered, they're totally green. So once we program it, because we have to program every device, it's not a problem, we can control them remotely. We can control them from a phone, from a PD phone or from one of the PD iPads or whatever. But they do send a lot of data. They do collect. The data collection platforms are impressive.
Nice. Okay. Thank you. Okay, under the commission items, our next meeting is going to be on Thursday, June 17th. It'll be here at Town Hall at 1600 hours. And while we're on commission items, is there anybody, Commissioner O'Brien or Commissioner Coop, do you have anything that you'd like to discuss on the
Just
commission items?
one thing, thank you. On the speed issue, I did have a chance to speak with a small business owner on Bay Street yesterday. And he was one of the ones that came forward probably about a month ago and had a lot of concern about the traffic count and the speed on Bay Street. I'm happy to report he was very pleased about the results and the response from your agency. He has noticed a reduction in speed. He believes that's because of the combination of the sign and the increased presence of the patrol officers in the area. So he's very enthusiastic that problem, as he called it, was heading in the right direction. So I wanted both of you to know that. I think it seemed like he really appreciated your effort.
Thank you.
All set, John?
Yes.
Bob, anything else?
Well, the only thing that I would add to everything that we've talked about so far is another sign that somebody is exceeding the speed limit in a very negative way, which is burnouts, or where they burn the rubber. And there's several spots in town that I've witnessed where that's happened. And if it was possible to determine who that individual is, at least a warning or something, not to do it, because in my world that was reckless driving.
That is indeed reckless driving. It's also negligent driving. And again, it's, let me just talk about that. I know what you're talking about because I'm out and about almost every day, and I see those, I see those burnout marks. And that is actually damage to the roadway. That's not rubber on the road. That's burnt asphalt is what that is. So that's erosion to the roads. And those are actually called acceleration marks. That's the technical name for them. They're acceleration marks, and it is reckless driving and negligent driving. That's exactly what that is. And if we catch you doing that, you're going to get a summons. That's an automatic summons. That's just dangerous. No one's going to get hurt.
Before we leave commission items, is there anything else that you gentlemen wanted to bring up, discuss, in the open meeting? Yep. I did not introduce or reintroduce our selectmen's representative, Luke Freudenberg, who joined us slightly after we began. Luke, do you have anything that you would like to share with us? I'm not sure if there's a microphone there, but...
There isn't one there, but...
You're fine.
No, I'm here to say that your speed is definitely top right now. I'm getting our community message board.
Yep.
It's definitely on people's minds. You know, people are out more excited. Obviously, people are constantly like, I've seen you guys out on Main Street. I think that's super. Because obviously it's a real issue.
No, I think you guys are doing a fantastic job,
Yeah.
so just take back our high praise to the Board of Selectmen. And we've got no issues.
Thank you, Luke. Next month, Luke, we'll make sure you have a microphone.
Mr. Chairman, I do have one comment about that, and I agree with Selectman Freudenberg's comments. Speed issues, and I say it often in my reports, they represent the most common quality of life issue that we deal with, and so we're very sensitive to it. Certainly, any and all citizens are always welcome to contact the Wolfeboro PD if they have a problem. If there's a particular individual, or you can get a license plate, that is always hugely, hugely helpful, so we can drill right down on that offender. We don't, as Commissioner O'Brien said, we don't want you to make a confrontation. That's what we get paid for. We'll deal with that. But please call into the PD, and you're not going to be ignored. We know that speed issues are quality of life issues. We want to address those. That's why we're here. That's why we get paid. We're very happy to do that. I will say too that I think what the captain is reporting, what we're seeing in terms of the volume, the fact that we're coming out of COVID-19 and you know, we're finally able to pound a stake through that vampire's heart. I think a lot of things have happened where, you know, people have come up to Wolfeboro. They've gotten out of the big cities, New York and Philadelphia or what have you, Boston. They can work remotely. We're seeing an increase in the population density. We're going to see an increase in traveling, and everybody for the last 2 years essentially has been locked up at home. So we're used to a relatively low traffic volume. Well, now that's increasing, and these numbers definitely prove it. So I think what we're seeing here is this shock, if you will, from being a very quaint little hamlet to being, you know, Wolf City, right? We're getting back to normal, and that's what's going on. But that doesn't excuse it. That just explains it. But call us, let us know that you're having a problem, and it will be addressed.
Thank you.
Over to you, sir.
Do we have any comments or input from the public that's with us this afternoon? Not sure you'd be here anyway. We don't have a microphone. Okay. At this time, then, if there is no other business before us in open session, I would entertain a motion to enter a non-public session under RSA 91-A. We're going to be discussing hiring and litigation. So do we have a move to exit public session and enter into non-public
I
session?
move that we exit
Okay.
public session and move into
All
non-public.
right, moved by Commissioner O'Brien. Do I have a second?
I would second the motion.
Seconded by Commissioner Coop. We'll take a roll call vote in this matter. Commissioner O'Brien
Yes.
and Commissioner Coop.
Yes.
And Commissioner Wood is a yes also. We'll stand in recess for a few minutes while we get ready for non-public session. Thank you.
Would be good. Oh, that's all.